We're in Nice, France, on the French Riviera, the location for the 2023 Ironman World Championships, the men's edition, anyway. It's a pretty epic course, and for the first time in history, the Ironman World Champs will be held outside of the USA. The course is pretty hilly, and it's pretty spectacular, and it starts down there. So let's head on down and we'll take you through the Ironman World Championships course. We're now down at the swim start venue, and it'll look a little different on race day. More flags and sponsor barriers and some carpets. Yes, they're gonna have to put some carpets down because the beach is not sandy. It's stony, rocky even, and very uncomfortable to run on barefoot, which is worth noting. But first, let's show you that swim course. The swim course here in Nice is pretty straightforward. Straight out for 875 meters, a right turn, 150 meters, another right turn, and all the way back. Not quite exiting the water before doing another almost identical loop of 875 meters out, 150 meters across, and all the way back into the shore again. Essentially, a big M, like an M dot. Okay, so that's the swim course, but first you have to get into the water. In Kona, it's a deep water start, but not here. Here, you're gonna start on the shore. Actually, James, they've changed that. For the first time ever here in Nice, it'll be a deep water start, which will certainly save those feet. The water itself will probably be smooth, smoother than it is even today. In the mornings here, it can be almost mirror-like in the sea. The water temperature, probably around 22 degrees Celsius. It peaks at around 24 degrees Celsius in August, and right now it's about 20. So it'll be somewhere in that range. If we have a late summer, it could be up around 24 degrees, and there's a small chance that it might be non-wetsuit, but most likely it'll be a wetsuit swim. You should probably also be aware that the sun will rise whilst you're out in the water at 7:04 a.m. on the 10th of September, and you're going to want to compensate for that glare in the morning. So tinted goggles is probably a good idea. There is no Aussie exit because of the rocks and the difficulty entering and exiting this water. But you do need to think about the swim exit. It can be a little bumpy. They do put carpets down for you though, but still a little bit painful on the feet as you get out the water. T1 is about as straightforward as a T1 can get. Run it from the beach and then it's straight along the promenade to your bike. It's quite a long run, but other than that, there's not much to worry about. Maybe think about speed bumps while you get into your shoes, but that's about it. If you're a spectator, getting up for the swim start is definitely worth it. The atmosphere is electric and you can see quite a lot from standing up on the promenade. You can watch a fair amount of the swim unfold in front of you. After that, I'd recommend you head somewhere quiet and comfortable with an internet connection to watch the bike unfold online, because if you head out there onto the bike course, you're not going to see the rest of the race. So head somewhere comfortable and quiet, put up that internet feed and save your energy for the run leg later on. We headed out onto the course on our bikes and bumped into local and Ironman France champ, Rudy von Berg. So we're out here previewing the Ironman World Champs course. First time it's outside of the USA. And first time it's a, well, should we say proper course? Can we say proper course? It's not a highway out and back.
I think so. I mean, especially with all the problems recently with drafting and motos, I'm really excited for this course.
Yeah.
I mean, just, yeah, as we said, the course is gonna favor just the better cyclists and have way less drafting problems. The hills will just create the selection as well as the downhills.
So you think it's gonna completely change the outcome of the race, the tactics of the race? Do you think a different winner compared to what you would have in Hawaii? Or the same winner just needs a different set of skills?
It could be a similar winner, but there's two things. Well, first, the downhills will disqualify a few athletes that just are not good technically. And then it would also disqualify some guys that are just good at riding on the flats and usually get quite a bit of draft on those flat courses.
Very diplomatically put there.
Legal drafting or motos, but it's a problem on the flatter courses, and I think Ironman's gonna have to go towards hillier and hillier courses.
Yeah, to keep it fair and safe. I agree. And it does definitely suit the more rounded cyclist.
Yeah, and contrary to what people think, this is not like a crazy just only mountains course. I mean, we're still going to average.
Not man.
Exactly, which is a famous Ironman in France, but which has the actual Tour de France mountain passes.
Yeah.
But this, we're still going to average close to 40 k's an hour for the best pros.
Yep.
Which is quite fast though. So
yeah, not that hilly. Okay, for age groupers coming here to Nice, particularly our American viewers who potentially are a little bit fearful, what would your advice be for both the swim and the bike and the run on this here Nice course?
The swim is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's in the sea, but there's no, in the morning early in France, it's usually very flat. So that should be a pretty beautiful swim, clear waters.
Nothing complicated.
On the bike, I mean, ideally you definitely want to get familiar a little with the roads here, just the way of riding. It's just much more narrow on some roads than people are used to. So that will be a big factor. And then, and also always keep in mind in the downhills, don't push the downhills. You always have to be in control, good trajectories, smooth is fast. And then the run can get pretty hot. Seashore, out and backs, very flat.
Yeah, very exposed.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. You got your tips straight from the man himself who lives here. Thanks for joining us. I am going to let you go. I'd say I would ride away, but I think it's going to be the other way around. I'm going to let you go up the road and not slow you down anymore. Thanks, Rudy. Happy training and happy racing.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna take a bit of a break now while we let Rudy get up the road. It was good to see him, but we don't want to catch him again. That would be really embarrassing for him. But it gives me a chance to discuss a little bit the route, what you've seen so far, and also what's to come. It's an interesting bike route. So you start with that flat. It's about 10 kilometers from the start, and it's completely flat. There's not much to talk about at all. Definitely get you to warm up your legs, but if your legs aren't warm by then, there are some punchy climbs that come in the next 13 kilometers. They're not very long, maybe a minute or two each, but they're steep, and you're definitely going to feel them. You will know that you're in a hilly race once you've got up those. It then kind of rolls up and down, undulates a bit, till you get to the contour road, and it's very twisty and turny, slightly undulating, but not much climbing to speak of. And then you hit the proper climb, which was here, Pont du Loop, all the way up to the Col d'Ecre, and this is where we saw Rudy. We've just been climbing with him. We're going to carry on up to the top of it. Once you get to the top, you're kind of on the plateau, and that's pretty much all the climbing for the day done. There's one more climb after a while, so you do about 60 k's up on the top on the plateau, twisting, turning, a little bit undulating, but nothing really hilly to speak of. And then you have a downhill for a bit before another climb of about 8 kilometers with a little false summit too, so just be aware of that false summit. And then it's downhill for a long way, twisty, turny, false flattened downhill before you last 17 kilometers of flat road all the way in to T2. And that's pretty much the whole route. We're going to ride not all of it today, simply because I'm not fit enough to, but we're going to ride to the top of the hill so you can see what it's like up there, and then maybe we'll show you a bit more of the route as we go around it. I'm not going to ride the whole thing though. I might be hopping in the van at the top of this hill. But let's start with getting to the top of this hill. Unfortunately, while the route is really scenic, and you definitely want to see it, it's not actually very spectator friendly because there's just no way to get out here on race day. I mean, you can make a day of it. You can go out early before the athletes go out, or you can set up camp and watch them all come past. Maybe even catch them twice on the way out and the way back if you choose the right part of the loop or move once or twice. But you can't really get out here, see the race on the bike, and then get all the way back to town again. So unfortunately, if you are a spectator, you can maybe ride to the first 15 or 20 kilometers of the course, maybe those first punchy climbs, and watch them go up there, if you're willing to miss the swim start. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to watch the race on the big screen and cheer them on the run.
We're very nearly at the top of the Col d'Ecre, which is just up there, maybe 1 mile away. As you can see though, the weather is closing in on us a little bit, as it is prone to do in these mountains, and may be a factor on race day, or may not, don't know. That remains to be seen. We'll only know that in the last couple days. But yeah, the rain and mist can come down, and it is coming down now. So we're probably gonna head back and get into our van for the rest of this preview ride, if that's okay by you. It's gonna have to be, because I'm not riding all day in the rain. We are now nearly 60 kilometers into the bike course, and we are nearly at the top of the biggest climb. It's about 18 kilometers to here, to the top of this climb. 18 kilometers from the start of the climb, 58 kilometers or so from the start of the race. And if you got to this point in good shape, you're pretty much in good shape for the whole race, because it's flat and winding now along the plateau for a while, and then it's downhill. There's one punchy little climb of about 5 or 6, nearly 8 Ks actually, but it's not too steep. And then it's downhill and flat to the end of the bike ride. So if you've got here in good shape, you're doing well. However, if you've burnt all your matches by this point, you may find yourself in trouble. Those miles up there where it can get a little windy can be really hard if you've burnt all your matches already. So pace yourself well to here and you're set up for a really good day. If you burn all your matches trying to get up this climb, you're in for a long day. As far as the pro race goes at this point, I expect the major favorites will all be together, watching each other, marking each other. As I say, not wanting to burn too many matches. A few of the weaker swimmers, I reckon, will have bridged up that climb. The strong riders, such as a Cam Worth, would have bridged up to those front riders, but I don't think you're going to have seen anyone making it a massive move. We would like to see someone smash their way up this climb and put minutes into everyone, but that's just not a smart way to play it in an Ironman. You've got to run a marathon off it. So I imagine by this point, we'll see most of the favorites in one, maybe two groups, marking each other, watching each other, trying to keep their powder dry for the rest of the ride and then that run. I'm gonna get back in the van now and we'll take you around a bit more of this course. And you're just gonna have to take my word for it, because I'm not riding the rest of it, because now it's really starting to come down. Let's go get some clothes on.
Okay, we've leapt ahead from 1/3 into the bike course and the top of that big climb to 2/3 into the bike course and the next climb. I've also changed into some dry, warm clothes. We've covered the entire plateau at the top, which is above 1,000 meters. It's a long drag and it can be pretty windy up there depending on the day. Not really much wind today, just a bit of grey cloud, but it can be windy, so you need to be aware of that. It's pretty hard going out there. It feels like a long drag. And then you drop down a little bit to just down there at the bottom of that valley behind me. And then from there, it kicks up. And you actually come up about a 6% grade for about 8 kilometers. And after 120 kilometers, you're really gonna feel that in your legs. But once you get over the top of this one, then it's plain sailing, pretty much downhill all the way back to the Nice Valley and then 17 kilometers of flat back to T2. While I'm here, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of the history of triathlon in Nice, because it's got quite a storied history. The Nice Triathlon is actually one of the oldest triathlons in Europe. It was started back in 1982 with a 1,500 meter swim, a 100 kilometer bike, and a full marathon run. So pretty run heavy race back then. It was actually supposed to be in Monaco, that first race, but the death of Princess Grace of Monaco meant that race was cancelled. The organizer was determined to still have the race, so he moved it to the Promenade d'Anglais in Nice, and the rest is history. It stayed there as the Nice Triathlon. They changed the distances the following year to a 3 kilometer swim, a 120 kilometer bike, and a 32 kilometer or 20 mile run, which seems a bit more balanced. And it stayed like that all the way until 2005. In 2002, Ironman got its start in France, but it wasn't here in Nice. It was actually in Gérardmer, where a long distance triathlon continues to this day. In 2005, the Ironman moved to Nice because the Nice triathlon was losing its numbers. They were dropping quite badly. Ironman came in, took over, and Ironman director Yves Cordier, who had quite a lot of success actually in his career as a triathlete, in racing the likes of Mark Allen, took over the running of the race in 2005. And he's been running it ever since. He still to this day runs it and will be running the Ironman World Championship event that happens here in September. T2 is again in the same place, and much like the first T1, it's a pretty straightforward affair. It is long and spread out, but other than that, there's not much to worry about. And then the run, 4 loops of 10.5 kilometers along the Promenade des Anglais. It is a long way along the Promenade des Anglais. It basically goes all the way along the shoreline, as you can see here, all the way to where the airport is. Not quite to the entrance of the airport, but you can see the private jets on the apron of the airport as you run past them. It is a long way, and on every lap you're going to turn around and you're going to look at where you're going to head to at the far end of the bay, and trust me, you don't want to do that. Just focus on where you are, because it does look like a long way, and by the 3rd or 4th lap, that finish line in the distance, or the next turnaround out there by the airport, is going to seem a very long way. But the route is well lined with spectators pretty much the whole way, and there is a really good atmosphere, and the aid stations are manned by very enthusiastic volunteers, so they'll get you through. As for the weather, well, it could be anything from low 30s to low 20s in September. It's really hard to predict, but most likely it's going to be around about the mid-20s or mid-70s Fahrenheit. In the early mornings, around 18 degrees Celsius or 64 degrees Fahrenheit to start your day. As for the run, well, it's not very shaded. You're going to be exposed to the elements. There are palm trees all the way, but they don't offer much in the way of protection from the summer sun. So put that sunblock on and make sure you prepare for some heat and some humidity, because it's a bit sweaty out here. For the spectators, you will see your athletes 8 times as they do 4 laps, and the palm trees do offer some respite for you, because you can perch yourself right under one of them, even if they don't protect your athlete very much. Definitely worth spending a day out there, slathering on the sunblock and enjoying all the atmosphere and cheering on your athletes as they go past. And the grandstand finish line is right here on the Promenade des Anglais and is well attended from first finisher right up to the last finisher. And that's it for our course preview. If you're an athlete coming to attend, remember, get those quads strong for those hill climbing, and make sure you're comfortable on your bike for all that descending. And then get your legs ready for 26 miles of pavement pounding without much variation. If you're a spectator coming to visit, well, remember, you can't see much of the bike. And if you do go out to watch the bike, you're not going to see much else of the race. So rather, watch the swim, watch the run, and enjoy a long day out in the sun, cheering on your favorite athlete. Hope you've enjoyed our course preview. If you have, hit that thumbs up button, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in Nice.